20, long time. Yeah. Thank you. Sherry's one of those. Yeah, she is. Angie, when she had said she'd been there, at first I couldn't picture her walked in.
This meeting is now called to order. Mrs. Smith, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Hall.
Here.
Ms. Hyman.
Here.
Mr. Rocinto.
Here.
And myself, I'm here, and Ms. Wayne.
I am here. Thank you. We will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I am very happy that we have some special guests with us today. Teen Diamonds from STEAM Academy are going to lead us in the pledge. If you would, just go over to the podium. You can actually stand in front of it because we won't be able to see you.
Stand in front of it so they can see it.
And then when you're ready, we're going to follow your lead. You tell us when to go.
Let's go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Great job. May we please have an approval of the agenda? Mrs. Heinrich?
I move to approve the agenda for the Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026 Board of Education regular meeting as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Heinrich, supported by Trustee Smith to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We will now move on to announcements. First, I just want to continue to congratulate parents and students and staff members as we end the year. In addition to all of the end of the year normal activities, we obviously have a graduation coming up, and I just want to congratulate all of the graduates of Visions and Central and Farmington and North Farmington and all of our schools who are transitioning from elementary to junior high and from junior high into high school. It is a fabulous, fabulous time. I also want to acknowledge a person who worked with our school district for nearly 30 years. Her name was Kelly Walker, and she recently passed away. I just wanted to acknowledge her because of the number of years of service that she had with us. She served in a variety of capacities, including being the president at one point for one of our unions. And so to Kelly Walker and her family and friends, we offer our deepest sympathies and condolences. Moving on to congratulations to the Farmington STEAM Academy's first LEGO League Explore Team Team Diamonds for their incredible success at the World Festival in Houston, Texas. The team proudly represented Michigan and brought home the prestigious Core Values Award, which honors outstanding teamwork, inclusion, and sportsmanship. Congratulations to these amazing young students for shining bright on the world stage and making our entire school district proud. We expect to hear from them during public comment. And that ends my announcements. We'll now move to public comment. And let's call up first Team Diamonds.
That's not going to work. Come to the microphone.
Is it on? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. We can do that afterward. Yeah, thanks.
Good evening. My name is VI.A, and I'm a 5th grader. This year, I served as a mentor for Team Diamonds. Going to the World Festival in Houston, Texas was a huge adventure for all of us, and watching these younger students win the Core Values Award was the highlight of my year. This award means they showed the best sportsmanship, kindness, and teamwork out of teams from all over the world. They earned every single little bit of this success, and we wanted to share this proud moment and our trophy with you all. Guys, thanks.
Awesome.
So our team members from our school are Gahan, Samanvi, and Ayanj. So Gahan and Samanvi are in 2nd grade. Wow. And Ayanj is the first year at our school in kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
So for him and I, it was just as equal as an adventure for everyone else.
Okay.
Thank you for cheering for us. This is... You go first. Your name. Come on. Gahan.
Samanvi. And Ayan.
And Bhagat signing off for today.
At this time, I'm just very, very proud of this group and your accomplishments and how you represented the Farmington Public School District. I'd like to take a short recess. We'll come back to public comment in just a moment, but I'd love to take a picture with you guys if you wouldn't mind. Okay.
Request to ask. Thank you so much.
That's my Terry dress. But no, it'll be pictures.
So this is your trophy?
How long were you in use? How many days? 4 days.
Hey, everybody. Give us a scripture. Oh, scripture. Thank you. Okay, took 4. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Keep it up. Keep it up. Good job.
Okay, congratulations. Thank you so much.
My computer was updating for some reason, just as I was like, please take your time.
All right, thank you for allowing us to recess for just a brief moment to recognize those incredible students. We will now move on to Bill Levy, followed by Charles Grulnick. Tough act to follow.
Good job, guys. I have a couple of comments tonight. One has an article, is with regard to an article that I saw in the news, and I passed it out. I haven't emailed it to you, and it basically says school boards are shutting up dissension and comments that don't agree with whatever the board position is, and that certainly made the news lately. Second one is, I believe in June, the board selects the officers for the next year, and right now I'm hoping who it is not. It would be nice if the person who was elected had attended many of our board meetings, and they didn't. And I don't think we need to carry forward the current president for another year. That's it.
Thank you. Charlie, you're next. And that ends public comment unless anyone wants to make public comment. Please fill out a card, but this is the last public comment card that I have.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Charlie Gorelnik, and I'm here as a representative of the local high school robotics team here in Farmington, the Hackbots. I'd like to start off by apologizing for not being at the past couple of meetings. I'm also a member of the North Farmington Marching Band, and our spring rehearsals are also on Tuesday nights. But now that the parade has concluded, I'm back with the Hackbots, and I have some updates. Even though our main competition season has concluded, that does not mean we are not active within our community. We are still running outreach events. This past week, we ran a demo at the Early Childhood Center for their science fair, and tonight we're actually running our annual Tech Girls event at Farmington. Coming up on the 22nd, we have another demo at East Middle, when we're all very excited for that. However, as I said, our main competition season has concluded, which means that this will be the last board meeting that the Hackbots attend for the school year. And I just wanted to say thank you. The school board is one of, if not our largest supporter, and it is so motivating as a student and a mentor to see that our school board members are willing to take time out of their busy schedules to come to outreach, to competitions, to sit down with students and to learn more about STEM and robotics and things that students and members love and care about. It makes me proud to be an FPS student and proud of the school board. So on behalf of the whole team, thank you, and we'll be back next year.
Thank you, Charlie, for those remarks. We appreciate you as well. Is there any further public comment? Any further public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to our next agenda item. Yes. No problem. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will move to items from the secretary. Trustee Ho, would you read those for us?
Sure. Items from the secretary. The board received the following communications: Office of Head Start notification, correspondence regarding doctoral credentials. The board now acknowledges all communications and responds as appropriate. A list of correspondence is included in the board packet, which is available on the Farmington Public School website.
Thank you, Trustee Ho. We will now move to the legislative update.
Just a few things. Wanted to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to attend the behind the scenes at the state capitol on May 20th. I was in attendance along with Trustee Hall and Superintendent Coffin. I just wrote a couple notes. It was an impactful event full of a lot of aha moments, gleaned great information about the school budget process, legislative committees, and we also have the opportunity to network with other board members and legislators. And a couple main takeaways, basically that we are a more divided legislature than I've seen in a long time. It was clear to me that after several panels and discussions, there's less of across the board, across the aisle bargaining and negotiating, and more of an outwardly partisanship and more firmness in platforms. Some good parts are people that get it. There are folks that have served in education, being on the school appropriation subcommittees. There are folks that served on school boards and hear what local boards are going through. And there are also, they also understand that sometimes decisions impact the children in the district and the staff, the hardworking staffs. And those folks suffer when funds are taken away or delayed or misappropriated. Some of the bad was that, again, there was a lot of partisanship, and there are folks who totally misunderstood what was going on. I think one legislator commented when they did not pass the budget as required by July 1st. And went into October, he said it was no harm, no foul. And which I think some board members there clearly pointed out the impact that it makes not having school funding by October. Then school boards had to make decisions and go forward with uncertainties, whereas upon it is the legislator's duty to give us a budget. We also met folks on the federal level, and I think it continued the theme of partisanship, where, again, I think with the Congress not working together, there have been a lot of actions through executive orders, through interagency agreements, through other forms of imposing federal mandates that impact local governments. And then instead of, again, we're hearing that instead of working together, they're going through the courts to try to settle things. They're going through different other means for enforcement rather than, I think, just rolling up the sleeves and acting as a legislative body. Lunches later, we had lunch, and then, and again, a lot of opportunity to network. So that was from the behind the scenes. And then just quickly on the legislative side, there's a series of bills that have gone to the House floor that impact the student aid. They're, again, initially moving forward, they're repealing a lot of taxes that would impact us. I could give you the rundown, but I could also share later. I want to keep the time at its minimum. And then on the federal level, again, holding back some federal money at that high level has also impacted Michigan in dealing with things like SNAP and other things like forms of aid that usually come down. That's it for me.
Thank you for that update.
Did you guys ever want to comment? Are you?
Yeah, just
sure.
one thing. So with that behind the scenes, I learned a lot regarding how Congress or the state work or doesn't work. And it becomes to of just very divided, I guess, lack of information with each other, and nobody's not talking with each other, but just talking at each other. And that although it's actually statutory law that they have to pass a budget by July 1st, and for them to not do that, they're literally breaking the law. But you know, legislators do what legislators are going to do, and I learned just the nitty-gritty stuff behind the scenes that gave me a little bit more appreciation of how what happens behind the scenes. So I really appreciate that class.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is district updates. Dr. Coffin?
Thank you, President Weems. These last few weeks, as you heard President Weems share, are really full of celebrations, recognizing the amazing accomplishments of our students across the district, as well as celebrating the end of this school year through concerts, exhibitions, recognitions, and the transition for the class of 2026 to their post-secondary adventures. And as we wrap up the school year, I want to thank our staff who make our success possible. This evening, you'll hear an update on the investment we're making in teaching and learning, specifically by supporting our teachers and classroom staff who work tirelessly each and every day to create meaningful learning experiences. In addition, our building leaders have truly stepped up and continue to be laser-focused on supporting the learning that happens in our classroom. The belief that our educators hold on the capabilities of our learners sets the stage for the development of what we talk about as collective teacher efficacy. It is the shared perception among our educators within a school that their efforts as a school community can positively influence student outcomes, regardless of external challenges or barriers. It's not just group optimism. It is a structurally supported, data-driven conviction that our staff have the collective skills and dedication required to ensure that every student learns. These skills continue to develop through the mastery experience when what they plan for, they actually see the impact of the students through our meaning-making and transferring knowledge to a new context. This is more, as I mentioned, than just a structure. It's a shift in the beliefs and what we believe about learning for our students, our educators, and the entire school community. I also want to remind everyone that collective teacher efficacy is one of the most powerful leading indicators for increasing student achievement. Why is this important? We know that supporting our teachers with high-quality, job-embedded professional learning experiences paired with a shared belief that all our students can achieve at high level is what moves the needle on academic achievement. The research on teacher efficacy is expansive and clear. The structure matters, but it's the teachers, their collaborative work, and the expertise that they bring to our learners and their belief in each and every student each day that builds that collective efficacy. I personally continue to be so incredibly grateful to work with the best of the best here at Farmington Public Schools. So speaking of the best, we are now going to hear from our leaders on the great work that is happening in areas of professional learning. I'd like to now welcome Ms. Rhonda Henry, Ms. Margaret Hendrickson from our Curriculum Instruction Department, as well as our special guest, Mr. Corey Porterfield, our Warner Middle School principal, and Ms. Chandra Hurton, our Beachview Elementary principal, to the podium.
Thank you. Good evening, President Weems, members of the board, Dr. Coffin. Our update tonight will focus on the collaborative work that our building administrators and teachers have led this school year to embed student-centered learning experiences across our entire district. As we reflect on the FPS blueprint and the work that we're doing to deepen the impact of student-centered learning across all classrooms, two focus areas we have been demonstrating and highlighting: curriculum instruction and assessment, and continuous learning and improvement. We started with building leaders and teacher cohorts receiving specific professional learning over the last few years. Two structures were put into place: investigations for our teacher learning cohorts, and then also our instructional learning team for our building leaders.
Investigations you've heard about before from Leah McConaughey and Paul Facto from LearningWorks. They have been working with cohorts of teachers from each and every building. They meet once a month for a whole year, and they are really learning to redesign experiences in light of AMT and PAN in order to bring our profile of a lifelong learner to fruition. Some of you are at the most recent Authentic Learning Showcase. One of the ways to build teacher efficacy is to have them share their successes and reflect on their learning. So we had a great opportunity this May to have our next Authentic Learning Showcase. Instructional team was a time once a month where all of our building leaders came together with Learning Works to deepen their understanding of leading change and moving towards student-centered learning. Part of that was also intentional walkthroughs where they really looked for whether acquisition, meaning making, and transfer was happening, and what level of student-centered learning they had. And it was amazing to see them to come together frequently to collaborate. One of the things you'll hear about from two of our buildings is intentional work they've been doing to scale student-centered learning. There's a word you might hear from them today, which we don't expect you to fully understand yet, is our positioning blueprint. One of the ways we define student-centered learning is through this positioning blueprint, which outlines some key features of lesson design that really bring students at the center, sharing their thinking and ideas. So the instructional learning team and investigations teachers have been learning about this positioning blueprint as a way to anchor common language around student-centered learning. So in the next part of our presentation, you're going to hear about the positioning blueprint. Just know this is what it's referring to.
So now we're taking that collective learning from our educators and leaders and expanding the reach into every building using what we call a level up coaching model that turns that professional knowledge into classroom action. The level up model delivers direct on-site coaching and implementation support that's tailored to the unique needs of every school and their goals that they set with their school improvement plan. In partnership with Learning Works, we provide in-person planning, collaborative classroom walkthroughs, and embedded professional learning. And this approach actively leverages the shared expertise of both our teachers and our building leaders while allowing us to continually monitor for data for clear evidence of the classroom impact. This year, we have field tested the level up model in 4 of our schools to establish a strong proof of concept. And those schools are Beachview, North Farmington High School, Warner, and Wood Creek. And to give you a firsthand look at how this work is coming to life in those buildings, I'm pleased to turn it over to 2 of our outstanding building administrators who will share the impact of the Level Up experience at their respective buildings this school year. First, Mrs. Chandra Hurton, principal of Beachview Elementary, followed by Mr. Corey Porterfield, principal of Warner Middle School.
Good evening, Board of Education members and Dr. Coffin. I would like to thank you for this opportunity to share. Our focus this year at Beachview has really been to create a culture of learning for our staff. And we have really taken on a growth mindset and encouraging our staff to take risks, collaborate, and create meaningful learning opportunities for our students. To do this, we did explicit work around participation structures, really focusing on the P in PAN. Our team intentionally planned staff learning opportunities with our staff at staff meetings, in coaching cycles, and also in professional development sessions. In the fall, we surveyed our staff on the topic of participation structures and their current understanding of what a participation structure even is. When we surveyed, what we learned is that a lot of our staff use generic terms for what participation structures are. And we heard terms like partner work or using whiteboards. And as we worked through the year and provided professional learning opportunities, what we saw is a shift in understanding for what participation structures actually are. We really saw our staff beginning to utilize the structures that we gave them the opportunity to learn about, like using equity sticks and being able to use gallery walks and chart walks, and being able to involve and actively have all of our students engaging in participation within lessons and lesson structures. We also noticed our teachers moved away from teacher-centered focus in classrooms, and they moved closer to actively participating in activities that our students were able to be actively student-centered as we were thinking through lessons and intentionally planning. And so there was a shift from teacher-centered to student-centered, and that's really important when we think about engagement for our learners. Finally, our staff participated in 2 lab classroom days, and we participated in 2 lab classroom days where our teachers were really given the opportunity to be able to go into the classrooms of their fellow colleagues. And that was very important in terms of building culture in our school community. We want to take risks and share our learning with others. This allowed our staff to be able to have opportunity to have rich dialogue and discussion around what they see and what they were learning from each other, and fostering that culture of collegiality and being able to collaborate. The second lab classroom day, we were able to go in and see wit and wisdom lessons being taught, and we were also able to see math lessons being taught with a focus on building thinking classroom activities and, use of different strategies. And what we found is that there was this energy and synergy that came about because our teachers wanted more. They wanted to be able to really spend time having rich dialogue around instructional practices, and giving them the opportunity to do so was very powerful. So this opportunity of really focusing on our staff and helping our staff to become empowered and to really see themselves as collaborators was something that we focused on. So we are excited to continue this journey, and we're looking forward to year 2 and how we will continue to create goals and plans for the 2026-2027 school year. Thank you.
All right, good evening, Board of Education and Dr. Coffin. Thank you guys for letting me share my experience at Warner Middle School with Level Up. At Warner Middle School, as a new principal at Warner, I view Level Up as an opportunity to strengthen both instructional practices and student belonging. Last summer, we had Intercon to kind of kick off the 2025-26 school year, and during that time, my team developed their MyKIP goal that focused on student confidence and belonging, which guided our instructional focus throughout this school year. We created Level Up cohorts with teachers from every grade level who worked with Learning Works and administration through walkthroughs, coaching conversations, collaborative reflections, and lesson redesign to the FPS instructional blueprint and the AMT framework. The way we developed the cohorts was that we had 4 teachers per grade level, 6, 7, and 8. We included our instructional leaders, but we also tapped some teachers who didn't really have experience with the investigations group that had experience with working with Paul and Leah prior to this year. One of the most impactful parts of the process was the collaborative walkthrough reflection cycles where teachers reflected together on student engagement and student-centered learning practices. One thing that I thought was the most impactful was with our leadership teams. We had the monthly meetings with Paul and Leah, but we had those walkthroughs. The amount of information and learning as administrators we did with Paul was very important. And I really wanted to bring that back to my team at Warner. And so one of the parts that I really wanted to make sure that we did was include our teachers on those walkthroughs. Because if we're talking about the blueprint and we're talking about, the blueprint and the AMT framework, we wanted them to have other experiences besides being siloed in their own classroom, to really start to have conversations of what that looked like. And so with that, with the walkthroughs, we started to hear teachers really looking at, we would come out in the hallway and have conversations about, was this lesson student-centered or teacher-centered? And just to hear the conversations of teachers who are talking about lessons that they're looking at and not really judging the teacher, but really thinking about what is a small shift to go ahead and have this lesson go from teacher-centered to student-centered. Through the course of the school year, we looked at some math classes, and we started to really see that, some major shifts in instruction. And so one of the things that we saw was from teacher-centered instruction, where we had students talking or taking a more active role in learning through collaboration and discussion and problem solving. We also saw that classrooms also show growth in concept-focused learning through participation structures, small group learning opportunities that align directly with our AMT framework and our FPS blueprint. So what we did was we developed, you guys can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we developed, this is really like the Farmington I walked through, rubric. And what we would do is we would kind of go through that rubric to look at to say, well, this lesson, was it really content focused or concept? Did we look at things where students were analyzing multiple artifacts and looking at patterns? How were the cognitive prompts? And I really started to see teachers really have conversations to talk about, what could they have done to make that a more cognitive prompt? But part of that also is really having them look at their own teaching practices. We would have teachers bring a lesson that they taught in their classroom and kind of come through, and as a group, we would go ahead and kind of review and reflect on it and some things they could have done differently. And that's where we really saw the data start to go ahead and improve, because they were in a safe space, collaborating with their colleagues on things they can go ahead and improve upon. Lastly, we did have a few key takeaways. We had greater use of collaboration, discourse, and active student participation, but we really looked at some continued areas of growth. One of those things are just looking at visible thinking and documenting routines, along with using multiple representation and artifacts, and then consistency of high-level cognitive engagement. Overall, I believe that the data suggests that Level Up is positively impacting our instructional practices at Warner Middle School and increasing student engagement and ownership of learning. We're happy to go ahead and continue as well for next school year with our round 2 for Level Up. And we're going to be diving into this and looking at ways that we can improve it and make it better and incorporate other teachers who haven't had the opportunity this school year. Thank you.
I'd like to thank both of you for coming and sharing your stories today. It's very, very powerful. So we started with a few buildings to prototype, to identify the structures and the successes, and how to roll it out for all buildings. So next year, every single building will be included in Level Up, where they will have executive coaching with LearningWorks once a month in person alongside virtual coaching sessions. LearningWorks will work with teachers and building leaders and really be looking, how do we know we're taking our goal to action? So what you saw, both of them refer to INACON. So INACON is a end-of-the-year conference, which is really about planning forward innovation. So on June 15th and 16th, building leaders alongside teacher leaders will come together, and they'll really reflect on where they were in 25, 26, where they want to go in 26, 27 to set up quality school improvement goals that will be incorporated into their Level Up work with LearningWorks. So we're very excited about another year of INACON. We did this last year as well, and so we look forward to that opportunity, and we look forward to you being back and all of our Level Up buildings this year will be sharing their stories at Inacon to help inspire all buildings in their work. But buildings are asking to be a part of this, so we have no problems there. So thank you very much, and if there's any questions or comments, we're happy to take those.
Questions, Mrs. Smith?
Thank you both for coming and doing your presentation. I enjoyed going over to the, what you call it?
Showcase.
The showcase, because I've been to so many things this month, so I don't want to give you the wrong name. But it was inspiring to see teachers that have been in this community for like 20, 30 years that no one knew and knew what they could do. And it brought things out. It's like a highlight, like when you do your makeup. You're already beautiful, but when you add a little highlight to it, you know, a little blush or something, it brings things out. And that's what happened that night. And I was very highly impressed. And I don't impress easy. So the work that both of you do, I'm a little biased, but the work that the both of you do has been phenomenal and just amazing. And to see the teachers and the students that are enjoying this. I wish that some of the people that come to our podium on a, monthly basis and say, well, what are we doing? I wish they would have taken part in seeing some of the things that we are doing, and maybe then they would understand and wouldn't be so quick to, pass judgment on the work that you're doing. So thank you so much.
Mr. Hull?
Just to echo Trustee Smith's words that you guys are amazing, that you have the wherewithal to get out of your own way, so to speak, and to come at things a little bit different. I love to say, are we really teacher-centered or student-centered? And we're supposed to be really student-centered for everything, right? But to even keep going back and asking, are we on path? Are we have the same mission? And to be self-critical of each other and to actually make those changes, those are very, very great ways of just making sure you're checking your own ego and that you're putting what's first. And I believe that is a great way of doing that. And like Mrs. Hurton, she's got a special space in my heart. She was principal of all my kids and everything, so I know her character and her way of listening to students and making sure that they're getting the great teacher, and also Mr. Porter, which over at the Farmington High, with my kids, and he's super very listening to the parents and students and have the right mind and heart. So you guys are using the great examples of these leaders to implement this program, and I'm really excited to see who else is next.
Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, how much time do I have? So I'm 40-year career educator, been retired for 11 years now. So I get it, but just a couple of comments. I mean, it's like some of the things that our community members are asking about, just to kind of highlight some of the things that you're doing, because I know a teacher can bring in a lesson and run a class with 5 kids, and it'll be an amazing lesson, and these are high achievers and they're going to get everything. But to position every student and engage every student, it's really hard to do. It's one thing to talk about it, you have to do this, but it's really hard to do. And so I just am so excited about the work that we're doing and the support that we're giving to our staff in order to do this work. And so what does that support look like? It looks like budgeting for release time for once a month for our teachers to attend this professional development. It looks like budgeting for the plan that we're going to have as far as redesigning our spaces for, students and teachers to be able to share and collaborate together. Just a compliment to our district for staffing. I just know when we had the opportunity to go over to East Middle School and look at the 8th grade cohort, how they did the scheduling so that all of the teachers on the team had a planning period together in addition to their planning period. So there's so many demands on teachers, and time is it's just so hard. One of my friends, retired friends, talked about, and this was an elementary teacher. I thought elementary teachers had it easy. They didn't have papers to grade, but she was like, in my career teaching, it's like Saturday is the day to catch up on housework, and Sunday is the day to do lesson plans and grade papers and prepare for the next week. So teachers work 24/7, they really do, and they're on call. So I'm just complimenting. These are all compliments to you, but one of the things that I really want to highlight and compliment is the building culture, because we have administrators up here and we don't have the teachers, but to build that trust and that culture so I really want to compliment you to be able to have that relationship with your staff, to be welcome into the classroom and to have these conversations, not in a judgmental manner, but in a way that we're all in this together. That's really hard to do, and so that is just a great compliment to our staff and for you to doing that. And I was so excited about that lab model that you showed where they actually went in, and when I was teaching, I was trying to bring lesson study into, and I even had a meeting with Dr. Coffin. It's like, we have to do this, and these are the things that research has shown has worked. As far as teachers, not to compete with each other, but to actually collaborate with each other and to have those meaningful conversations. So all of this takes money to budget, to keep our class sizes down in order to have enough staff, to have that time to even, when you have that lab model, they have to have some planning time or release time during the day, and that's substitute budgets and things like that. So when people ask, how are we supporting reading? How are we supporting literacy, math, and how are we supporting the student things? There are all these little things that you can't just tag and put one line item in the budget, but all of this ties together. So thank you so much. And I also noticed June 15th and 16th where you're having this professional learning, that's after the end of the school year.
Yep.
So our teachers aren't checking out on the last day of school. They're coming back and they're working on June 15th and 16th. So compliments to our staff and our district for willing to put the time in and doing the work over the summer, because there's going to be a lot of work done over the summer so that when they come in the fall, they're ready to go for these new exciting things. So thanks for listening. Let me just tell you how wonderful. You just can't compliment people enough. You work so hard, and you really need to know how much you're appreciated.
Trustee Rosinto.
Yeah, just again, a compliment to piggyback on what Trustee Heinrich had mentioned. The culture change takes a while, and I think the elements of the communication process that you guys have incorporated, the common lexicon in defining what this looks like. One teacher could say, oh, it's using a whiteboard, right? No, it's not. It's beyond that. And just the culture of walk and talk, that if you can even get that those are the valuable minutes, seconds that happen in between as you're trying to make the change. It doesn't always have to be something written down on a piece of paper and then checked off, or an online survey or something like that. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. We appreciate that presentation.
Thank you.
Dr. Coffin?
All right. And again, thank you to Principal Hurton and Principal Porterfield. They were in the district before I got here, and I've just seen them grow into such amazing, incredible leaders, and I recognize the work they've done, and so I appreciate everybody taking the time to share that. That is all I have this evening. President Weems.
Thank you very much. We will now move to reports from committees. Finance and Facilities?
Yeah, the Finance Committee met on June 1st, first day of June. Trustee Hull and myself met with a whole bunch of people from the district, and everything that we talked about are up for discussion items. We had an opportunity to review the public hearing for the proposed 26-27 budget. The district is doing a good job. We were able to ask some questions on that. We had a review of the 26-27 tax levy, and again, Jennifer Kaminsky kind of helped understanding of how things are budgeted and how things are working. There's going to be a public comment section following the presentation for people that want to comment on the budget. And they also reviewed the current 25-26 budget amendment. Facilities management, Luke Cadu is, I probably mispronounced his name, but he's doing a really good job as far as managing how we utilize our funds. And so he's looking at equipment that we need for our custodian to keep the buildings clean. And so he made some good decisions rather than taking some autonomous machines, which sound really cool. It's like, that's not a good value for the district. And so we're investing in things that are a better value for the district, and we'll be able to keep our buildings clean and support the work that our custodian teams are doing. So that's for discussion. And nutrition services, there's a whole bunch of equipment that needs to be purchased for an update. And again, compliments for, I'm trying to think of her name. It was Ann Stevens, yeah, for doing a good job as far as going out and looking for the best value for our dollar and keeping our buildings running. So that's coming up for the discussion. And one of the things we asked about is installation and training is included with the middle school equipment position purchase.
All right, thank you very much for that. We will now move on to discussion items. The first one is our public hearing on the proposed 26-27 budget.
Thank you, President Weems. I'd like to welcome, Jennifer's already up there, our Assistant Superintendent for Business Services. She's going to share information as part of our public hearing, which will include our proposed 26-27 budget, as well as information in Part B for the tax levy, 26-27.
All right, well, good evening, and it is hard to believe that one school year is coming to a close shortly, and that we're going to be starting a new fiscal year in less than 30 days. So, again, I am here to review our 26-27 budget, and this is the public hearing on the budget as well as the tax levy information for next year. And there will be an opportunity for public comment after I review these two items. Right, just to start off, again, everything's centered around the blueprint for the district, our vision and mission. As you can see, budget and operations does support the school system, as well as everything centered around that student experience. So the district maintains 8 funds. The main operating fund of the district is its general fund, but we also have a debt service fund that is used to pay for principal and interest payments on bond debt. We have our special revenue nutrition services fund that maintains the operations for our breakfast and lunch programs, our student activities fund, which houses transactions for those various activities at the building level. We have 3 capital projects funds, so we're still working on our 2020 bond fund, so our Building and Site 2023 issue. We have our technology other projects and our maintenance bus purchase fund. And those are where we have been earmarking funds setting funds aside from the general fund to be able to support those capital needs after those bond dollars are exhausted. We have an internal service fund, which is our benefit stabilization fund, and that pays for all of the claims of the district for health, dental, vision, long-term disability, as well as life insurance. So our budget development process and how it all begins. So we finish one year, receive our audit results, and we're already into the next fiscal year and revising that information as we have more information from the state and a budget. We are fine-tuning our staffing and enrollment projections. Again, we set those projections for what we believe enrollment's going to be, but until the students are in school and they are counted on count day, we are waiting for those actual results. We're looking at instructional supports needed for the upcoming year. And again, with everything being focused around that instructional program, and also considering grant funding that might be available to us, whether it's federal or state funding. So again, while you may not be able to see specifically within our budget document where literacy falls or where math falls, there are lots of funds that are being spent on these two areas as well as various other areas. But we continue to implement our EL skills block, our foundational skills program at K2 level, Wit and Wisdom, and our U-Fly, which is focused on intervention for literacy. On the math side, we have our illustrative math program, which is focused on middle school and high school, and our everyday math for K5. So we also have many other supports, so our technology suite of tools. We have Dreambox, which is focused on supporting math. We have Lexia that focuses on literacy. So these are additional tools that can be used in the classroom to help support students. And we have implemented Magma Math in the current year that's focused on K-12, and Class Mojo will be something in the upcoming year, focusing on grades 3 through 5. As Mrs. Heinrich mentioned, we have invested a lot of time and funding to support our teachers through professional development. And that's continued all year long. And we also have many supports on the instructional coaching side, those individuals that are there at the building level to help teachers in the classroom support. So some of the continued strategic partnerships for innovation. So we're continuing our work with LearningWorks, and that's on a K-12 basis. We've started work with learner-centered leadership, and that focuses on competency-based education. So that work is in progress. We've talked about MUI. There's also Mitten, and they're really one and the same organization that help support the innovation and the teaching in the classroom. And so there's funding available through the MUI Workforce Initiative. And then our continued partnership with the Future of Learning Council. So as you can see, all of our budget information and financial information can be found under our transparency reporting button that pops up when you go to our webpage. So looking at our foundation allowance in really the last 14 or 15 years. So you can see we've received some increases over time. Some of the larger ones being in the more recent years, you can also see that we received 0 in 24-25. So varying increases for that foundation allowance. We are projecting $250 per pupil for the upcoming year. So to piggyback on that, looking at that cumulative rate of inflation versus those percentage increases in the per pupil foundation funding. So you can see there's obviously a gap. That inflation line is the higher dark purple line with the actual per pupil increases that we've received over time. So the difference between the two of those is about $4,500 multiplied by our student count, and we've lost over $40 million of funding with that gap. So because our per pupil foundation increases haven't kept up with inflation, there's that difference of $40 million. So on total revenue budgeted for the general fund is $178,863,000. Expenditures are budgeted at $186,973,000, and that's a use of fund balance of about $8.1 million. So that still leaves a projected fund balance of about 15.7%, which is still above the board's target rate of 10 to 15%. On the revenue side, so again, the foundation allowance is a huge piece of our funding, and you can see we receive about 20% of our total funding from property taxes, with the remaining coming through state aid at 58%. So that's 85% of our revenue. The other 15% is made up from inter-district revenue received through the PA-18 funding, federal revenue, as well as other local revenue. So the per pupil foundation allowance, again, breaking it down into property taxes and then what we receive from the state. So our hold harmless millage, that homestead rate, we receive $1,876 per pupil. The 18 mills, the non-homestead rate, generates $3,833 per pupil. And I've included Section 20M, that's $103 per pupil. So last year, even though the legislature provided a significant foundation allowance increase, those districts that were already at a certain level were only allowed to receive a certain amount, and with the remainder put into a categorical. And I highlight that because the categoricals are those that can be easily eliminated when things, go south. And so with the remainder of $6,261 coming through from state aid. So looking at expenditures by object, 82% of our budget is spent on salaries and benefits. And so the right side, that deep purple color, is 50%. That's our salaries, with benefits covering 32%, and that's the darker piece on the left-hand side. And that includes health insurance, all of those fringe benefits, our retirement costs, as well as VI.A costs. The next largest item is purchase services at 12%, and those are things such as our custodial contract, our water and sewer costs, maintenance and repairs, and other contracted services. 5% are spent on supplies or budgeted on supplies. Again, the majority being teaching supplies, textbooks, and other supplies to support either the classroom or operations. Expenditures by function, so a different look at how we spend our dollars. So you can see the purple piece, elementary instruction, is at 19%. High school, about 11%. Middle school, that darker piece in the middle, about 10% are pupil and staff services. And that category encompasses counseling, speech and language pathologists, psychologists, social workers, and improvement of instruction, things to support the learning environment. We also have other instruction. And so the majority of those dollars, that's the 19% category, is our added needs category. So special education costs, interventions, so Title I funding, things to help, II.A, help to support additional, interventions for student learning in our career and tech ed. Support services rounds that out at 23%. And again, things that help support the teaching environment, transportation for students, maintenance and operations to keep our buildings clean and safe, and athletics would be some of those items. So in school funding, there are an immense amount of budget unknowns. And I've been thinking a lot about it and what other industry has to start their fiscal year not knowing what their revenue stream is. And unfortunately, public schools have had to do this for many, many years. And it's really hard, and so we have to make a lot of assumptions, a lot of educated guesses, and hope that we get our budget sooner rather than later from the state. So again, we're starting off our fiscal year implementing a budget, but not knowing the budget from the state as to what our foundation allowance will be, what our student enrollment will be until the students actually show up in the fall, health insurance costs. Obviously, we've taken necessary measures to keep those under control, actual staffing in place, so we build those based on the number of students that we anticipate having, state categorical funds. Those are one-time grant funds that may be there, may not be there in the following year, whether we'll get increases or not. Federal funds, again, there's been a lot of uncertainty on that end. And then, of course, the economy as a whole and how that impacts our costs. So this is a focus on the tax levy information for the 26-27 year. So on our homestead piece, homestead millage, the operating millage will be 4.6516. Debt will be at 3.2 mils. The state at 6 mils, and the total at 13.6516 mils. On the non-homestead side, operating amount will be 18 mils, debt will be 3.2 mils, state will continue to levy 6 for a total of 27.2 mils. Commercial personal property, the operating amount will be 10.6516 mils, debt will be 3.2 mils, the state will levy 6 mils for a total of 19.8516 mils. And on our industrial personal property, the operating millage will be 4.6516, debt will be 3.2 mils, the state will levy 0 mils, so the total will be 7.8516 mils. So that concludes the public hearing in the presentation of the information for our 26-27 budget, as well as the tax levies proposed for the upcoming year. And so we will allow for public comment at this time.
Is there any public comment at this time? You may come up. This public comment period is specific to the budget, so that if anyone has made public comment before, you may make public comment again at this time if it relates to our budget. Is there any further public comment? Mr. Levy, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll move to this as quickly as I can. First of all, got the budget around noon on Friday, which is not a lot of time for somebody to look at it, given that it's been out there for 4 months. I was not shocked to see that we had an $8 million loss. That's not responsible, budgeting an actual $8 million loss. And further, our expenses are $20,000 a student. That's about $5,000 more than any other district. We're out of control when it comes to spending, and it's not a revenue shortage. In the real world, in an industry, you know what their revenue is on day one of the fiscal year? Nothing. They have to earn it. And what you earn it on is quality education to our children. That's our product. And right now we know that our children on reading rate an F based on the M-STEP findings or tests. So what we've heard is the usual, and it's not Jennifer's fault, it's a state. They basically have a discussion of a checkbook. They don't say what you're spending the money on. You just spent half an hour talking about some improvements for professional development, and we don't see how that works into the budget. So the whole budget, 47 pages, is for a checkbook, not a budget. And what we're missing is how the district is going to achieve some value for the services, which, such as, we commit to rigorous teaching, strong literacy and numeracy foundations, and continuous improvement so every student meets and exceeds Michigan's academic standards. So what we're missing is any discussion in the budget of knowledge. And if Cheryl were here tonight, she'd say, well, that was what we were going to talk about in the knowledge gap book. Yeah, we don't have time for that. So I'm going to brush through these. I gave you a printout version of this, so I don't have to go through it with everybody, but I'll summarize. On the knowledge side, 44% of our students can't read at grade level. My question is, what Farmington plan is included in the budget to teach these kids to read at grade level before they graduate? Because they're not going to learn afterwards. And when will we see proof that that plan is working? The second item is a team teaching model. There was a kerfuffle.
Thank you for your comments, Mr.
Was this
Levy.
3 minutes?
Yeah, unfortunately.
This is a budget.
Yeah.
You've had 4 months to work on it.
Thank you.
No, you got an $8 million loss.
Thank you, Mr. Levy.
That's why I put it all in the book.
Perfect.
People, teachers,
Is there any further public comment?
this is a farce.
Seeing no other public comment, we will close public comment at this time.
You're not a bore.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to our next item.
I think it's the Part B,
Yes.
Jen.
Oh,
Go ahead. Thank you.
just finish up the presentation. So included in the board packet and posted on our website last Thursday evening was the 26-27 budget document. And so it also includes a lot of information on taxable values, tax levy information, and the bond amortization schedule. Our info section has a 3-year forecast for all funds, actual and projected enrollment, staffing by function, and our quick guide to FPS to highlight some of the great things happening in our district. So looking ahead, there is a 3-year projection. Obviously, when we don't know our information or our funding for next year yet, it is hard to project out an additional 3 years. but that information is available there. Along with fund balance. And again, a budget is a tool to help us decide what things we need to look at in the upcoming future. We're continuing to focus on innovation. There is a lot happening in our school, a lot of great things that are taking place in the classrooms, and we continue to focus on that. Strategic planning, we're reviewing that every week at a cabinet level, but continuing the focus on what we want to see in all of our students through that profile of a lifelong learner. And then, again, federal funds and making sure we keep our eye on what's ahead. The 25-26 amendments for the general fund, just really a high-level discussion here. All of the detail was included in the board packet. There's a memo that provides details of the changes from the First Amendment to the Second Amendment. So we've revised local revenue for property taxes and Medicaid fee-for-service. We've revised state revenue for categorical and grant funding based on what we know now. Federal grants have been updated. We had to increase our sub-cost budget, and then any other known adjustments have been implemented. So just want to say thank you to Kim Pinchek. She works with me closely on a lot of the budget. Bonnie Marks, who put together our budget document, and Julie Langdon that helped us with some of the pictures and pages in the budget document as well. And I can answer any questions you might have.
Mrs. Smith, I want to thank you for that in-depth report. For many, it may have been disappointing to hear, and it's just, for some, it was probably educational, and to others, it could have been boring. This is why we sit here. We as a community need to learn that if we don't agree with what we're hearing, we cannot storm out. We are adults. Our children are in our schools, not here at our board tape or in our audience. I don't believe in shooting the messenger. You brought the message to us. It is our job to share it with the community. You don't have to always agree. We can always disagree without tantrums, storming. No, this is not your fault. As I watch the news and I look at what is happening in this country, right now we have a circus at the White House. But I don't see anybody writing and complaining about that. We're here to educate students. Now, if you don't want to vote for it, we don't vote for it. But we must educate the community. We cannot stand in front of the board and say, we're not qualified, we're not this, we're not that. Those are insults. We didn't make this budget. We're sitting here listening to it. To be upset because we're not giving someone the opportunity to do a presentation. It's a 3-minute comment. We don't have to agree, but we must respect those that put this together, to respect this board. Many of these board members may not vote for this. I get phone calls all the time. But the conversations that have been coming here for the past few months and for the year We got bigger things. Yes, I am a senior citizen, as much as I don't want to admit it. I don't want my taxes going up either. But if we listen to learn and not to defend, then we can find out what needs to be done or just don't vote for it. Now, the minister in me, and for those that don't know, yes, I am an ordained minister, is say just, let's let this ride and let's just pray. And no, I'm not a Moms for Liberty, but let's just pray and get this and listen to each other. Life is so short. But the other side of me, the hood and Angie, says, we're not going to do this up here. As Trustee Hall always says, we're here for these kids. The bullying, the attacks are starting to wear. Comments, because knowing that we cannot comment, the comments are bullies. Because as we sit here, we got to take it. But I'm not taking it anymore. You came, you delivered. It's up to the community if they want to vote. Is my 3 minutes up? I don't get no 3 minutes. Because if Ms. Heinrich can go on for 10, I can too.
Did you time me?
No. But you could go on after me. But as I was saying, at the end of this, all 7 of us, we ran for these seats because we cared and we wanted to do something for this community. So on that note, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for bringing us this message. And for those in the audience and those that are watching, when you come and you can't get your way, that's fine. Just don't vote for what is put up in front of you. Thank you.
Trustee Heinrich?
Yeah, just to comment on the second budget amendment. So the budget is a living, breathing document, and I just want to point out that I think every other month or every couple months you do a budget to actual where you're always tracking our expenses and making adjustments. And so based on those things, so I just want to thank you and let you know that we appreciate your work, and it's not a one and done thing. And also, isn't there a detailed budget posted on the district website so that community members can look at the overall budget? I mean, this was an overview of where things are.
This budget document is out on the website, and
On
it
the
has
website.
a lot of information.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that is a lot of information out there.
Correct.
So, yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. So thank you for your work, and we appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the work as well. I know putting together a budget, especially of this size, is not a small feat. I know there is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and so I personally just thank you because I know the amount of work involved. I noticed that you kind of worked some miracles here. We have a slight increase in the number of FTEs in the budget, and I noticed that our increase in the salaries line overall didn't go up by much, and that you were also able to reduce expenses in a lot of areas outside of salaries, which feels really good too. Although we are interested in some of the things that we've talked about at meetings before, tutoring support, which I know we continue to have, SAT support, which was new this past year, which I'm hopeful will be helpful for our students. I know we've made investments in the past few years in literacy and numeracy. Those have been at the elementary school level mostly, so I am interested in understanding what our plans are for junior high and high school as well, in addition to the tutoring. I know myself and many members of the school board have expressed that we're interested in smaller class sizes. I know that is difficult, and I know that is something that generally gets bargained, but that is something that we know also has an impact in the classroom, in addition to all of the things that you guys are doing, particularly around supporting our staff and making sure that we have the professional learning environments that we know are going to be critical to effective classroom instruction and teaching, which is the #1 indicator of success amongst our students, which is why we invest in this way. It's not, I want to also make sure that no one walks away thinking that we've got an $8 million loss. We are intentionally eating into our fund balance, which is something that some of our members of our community have been asking for years, so I'm a little surprised at the outrage there, frankly. We continue to be within our fund balance, which is something that I've always been a fan of, making sure that we have funding available in case of, I hate to call it rainy day, but in an environment where we're seeing costs increase significantly across the board, I'm pretty surprised to see that our costs are going down generally year over year. It's our revenues that are not going up as much as we'd like them to, but you've done a really great job at actually reducing costs based off of what I see in this budget, and I'm a little surprised. I know you mentioned to me before that we kind of hedge gas a little bit, which has been a good thing for us so that we're not right now impacted by the higher gas prices, but that's something that we'll have to think about in the future. So long story short, job well done on this budget. Thank you for that. We'll continue to have conversations around student achievement and, you know, what levers we can pull and push to move the needle. So I appreciate the work done.
Thank you.
All right. With that said, we can move on to the second budget amendment. Is that you,
She
Chair?
already did that.
Oh, she did, okay.
So we're on the capital.
Capital improvement update, thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Paul Wills from Plant Moran Real Point and Ms. Gail Alavito from TMP Architecture to the podium to provide, I think, our final capital improvement update for this school year. I'll turn over to you, Gail.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Coffin, and thank you, Board of Education, for inviting us to meet with you on this update. As Dr. Coffin mentioned, Paul Wills is here, but also Bill Weinrock from TMP's office. And at the last meeting we had with you, I think May 19th, we talked about the ambassador's feedback on the secondary options, and we talked about methodology for the survey and kind of what those priorities were bubbling up to the top. So today we're very excited because we're going to sort of talk about that completion of this wonderful process. We are going to share survey results, which I think you're going to be very pleased with. And then we're going to talk about very specific scope at each of the buildings, which we are recommending could be a part of that 0 millage increase bond opportunity for the November ballot. So to start, this is a familiar chart to you, and you see the star has now moved down to that last column, our June 2nd update with you. But I want to just mention a little bit about the focus of your professional team. The first half of this process, we were very focused on listening and gathering that information about your strategic vision, about how you wanted to really impact student success, and we were focused on developing a long-range facilities plan that would allow you in the long term to meet, kind of marry that strategic vision that you have with your buildings so that your buildings were supporting that vision. Obviously, there's a lot to do, and we are looking at this opportunity for a millage amount, and I call this phase 1 of meeting that vision. This is a roadmap. So the master plan it is this roadmap, and the second half of the process, we really focused on what is the first phase meeting that roadmap. So today is totally focused on that first phase of this roadmap, and it will all come together, and I think you're going to like what you see. It really supports the things we heard from the students and from your staff over our journey with you. Paul, would you like to talk about the survey findings?
Thank you, Gail, and good evening, board members and Dr. Coffin. So actually going back to 2023, I think the district's done a really good job getting input from the community. So the Cobalt survey really talked about academic priorities of the community, academic priorities of the district. More importantly, a lot of those findings were, how does the district communicate? And so I think what you saw from the flow chart is there's a lot of touch points. Pretty soon you'll be like, oh my gosh, please TMP and Plant Moran Real Points. We got other board items. So I think, again, just having that repeat of communication, you cannot over communicate these priorities going forward. And so I think with the communication process, with the ambassadors, the board updates, we're really taking a look at that continuation of findings with the survey. So again, with EPIC MRA most recently, as we mentioned in May, there was a 400 sample respondents. They were split into two groups. So sample A was just asking questions straight off with the information, and then obviously the opposing arguments, so kind of like a positive, negative ask for the very similar conference. 86 of the surveys were completed via cell phones. What we find interesting is 90% are very certain they will vote November 26. And so at the end of the day, when you look at the percentages, 53% would be in person, and roughly 40% of absentee ballots. So what's interesting about that is we're seeing that trend really increase the last several years. Keep in mind that absentee ballots go out in mid-September. So when people say, I have until November 3rd to really communicate this, and we'll talk about the communication plan here, is you can't over-communicate it early enough and often enough, and that's why we're here tonight. So again, top-line results, before hearing any of the details of the scope, again, keeping the current millage rate the way it has been. So again, you've had two successful bond proposals, keeping that millage rate the same with $131 million. The last one being $98 million. Again, this is that phase that Ms. Gale talked about. Would generate roughly $171 million. Upgrading classrooms, security. We heard a lot of that from security and technology, playgrounds, performing arts, athletics. At the end of the day, 76% said they vote yes from that perspective. When you start taking a look at specific program elements, again, infrastructure, the district's last two bonds have really been focused on infrastructure. One of the things we'll talk about this next as Gail goes through those individual sheets is roughly 85% of the $171 million is actually dedicated toward academic and instructional improvement, with roughly $144.5 million, and about 26.5 is going to be infrastructure. So almost a reverse of the last two bonds, because that's what the Cobalt survey was indicating in 2023, and here's the EPIC survey results as we go forward. And so as you can see, STEAM programming, performing arts, playgrounds, again, those are community assets. Taking a look at improving some of the high schools from that perspective. Most importantly, upgrading classroom flexible, modern collaborative spaces. So you heard from the building principals, how is teaching evolving? More collaboration, more small group instruction from that perspective. Again, after hearing the scope, there's actually an increase to roughly 78% would vote yes. Again, out of those 400, that indicated the scope, and with that millage rate keeping the same at 3.2 mils. So again, a lot of great survey results. I think if you look at the last two bond proposals, they're both in the 60s and 70s. So this is kind of alignment with the support of those other capital bond programs. So some of the upcoming elections, obviously we hear economic conditions. Where is inflation? Where is the pricing? I think you heard from Ms. Kaminsky, there's not a lot in your general fund for capital expenditures. So oftentimes we hear people say, well, what if I just vote no? Yes, the tax rate will drop, but the school district does not have the benefit of $171 million to really do some great things. And again, this is phase one. If you recall from our 10-year capital plan, the first, like, how are we going to tackle this? You're going to do it phase at a time. So this is $171 million. Zero tax increase, again, working with your financial advisor. Those are probably in the 70 to 80% approval rating across the state for the last 20 years if it's a 0 mil. As soon as you ask for a quarter mil, a half mil, that drops to roughly a 50-50 pass rate. Again, a lot of great information here. I think a lot of the responding back to the EPIC surveys, again, a lot of positive arguments for that, alignment with that going forward. And again, obviously we have some no voters, and that's the right. And I think as a board, your job is to be able to place it on a ballot and let the public decide. And ultimately, we think this is a great plan to align it with the finance piece of it, and again, a lot of great academics going forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Gale, who's going to kind of walk you through building by building, and then I'll wrap it up with some of the financial considerations and next steps. So, Gale.
Thank you, Paul. All right, we're going to jump right into the elementary buildings first. You're going to see a lot of repetition in these, so I'm not going to read off every bullet, but just kind of give you the highlights. At Beachview Elementary, we are going to transform the existing media centers into a reimagined I-Center. And you might say I-Center. That's a term that was kind of coined as they renovated Warner Middle School. Libraries turned into media centers are now turning into I-Centers, where it's richly supported with technology and collaborative areas, and it's kind of that combination of books and technology and people learning together. So we're going to be transforming the existing media center into these reimagined I-Centers to support that project-based learning, STEAM, makerspace, where it's that, people working together, a lot of what you just heard from your wonderful staff at Beechwood and Warner. We're going to be upgrading furnishings in all of the classrooms and learning environments to align with the new way people are teaching and using classrooms. You've heard a lot about student agency. When students can help to create the environment they want to learn in, it only makes it that much richer and that much more successful. So that is a big area at all of the elementary schools. And then, of course, we're going to be handling the critical infrastructure that has been identified at each of the buildings to kind of that the must infrastructure touching site, playgrounds, roofing, HVAC, and some of the other items identified in the facility condition report. Forest Elementary, the same reimagined I-Center, similar furnishings. Here we're going to reconfigure some existing classroom spaces, really to right-size those classrooms and to create an additional classroom, because we've got 2 or 3 spaces that are not really working well, so we're going to kind of transform those to support instruction better. And again, those same critical infrastructure items. Gill Elementary, the I-Center transformation. We will be renovating, it's a little different at Gill. We're going to renovate the original large group instruction area into the reimagined makerspace to support STEAM activities. Again, that flexible, multi-purpose learning space. We'll be upgrading furnishings and then addressing the critical infrastructure. Hillside, again, the I-Center, the upgraded furnishings, and the kind of critical infrastructure items already discussed. This is similar at Kenbrook, similar at Lanigan, and also at Longacre. Now at Wood Creek, again, the transformation of their media center into the reimagined I-Center, supporting the STEAM and makerspace, hands-on learning, upgrading the furnishings. We're also going to renovate existing locker areas to support expanded learning environments and flexible instructional use. We've got some technology upgrades at Wood Creek and then the critical infrastructure. Farmington STEAM, renovating the existing dining area and cafeteria stage to create some flexible student gathering space, really enhancing students' experience. Upgrading furnishings, technology upgrades, and the critical infrastructure. I do want to mention, because I think it was a missed bullet on all of the others, technology upgrades are across all buildings, so I apologize for that one. I'm noticing it's on these, but wasn't on the first elementary, but that is across all buildings. And then we have Farmington ECC, just some simple upgrades, demolishing the existing stair to construct an accessibility ramp on the east side of the building. Some infrastructure upgrades and technology upgrades. I'd like Bill to take you through the secondary buildings.
Hi, good evening. So we'll start at East. And again, we continue the theme with transforming the existing media centers into a reimagined I-Center that'll support the STEAM and makerspace. At this building, we're looking at upgrading the performing arts. So some of these spaces are not very efficient, so they're looking at reimagining those spaces and kind of improving the floor plans. Upgrading furnishings, technology, and critical infrastructure. Power, middle school is still the transformation of existing media centers into the reimagined I-Center, very similar to all the buildings so far. Upgrading of the performing art spaces as well. They are using some LGI spaces that want to get turned back into performing arts programs and moving things around the building for better efficiencies. Furnishings, technologies, and critical infrastructure. At Warner, this is the building that's at the I-Center. This building had the most renovations under the previous bond program. So when we go to Warner, the building is fantastic. One of the comments that we had was some issues with acoustical control in the I-Center, so we're going to focus on upgrading or updating the acoustics. We have the furnishings, technology, and critical infrastructure. We go to Farmington Central High, and we are looking at reimagining the cafeteria with new furnishings. So it'll make it more flexible, multi-purpose space, multi-use space throughout the day instead of during the, just only used during the lunchtime periods. And again, technology and critical infrastructure needs. Farmington High School, we do have a lot of work that's happening at that building. Reimagining the cafeteria with the furnishings to create additional space during the day, flexible multi-purpose room space. Reconfiguring the administrative area. That administration and counseling are on two separate sides of an entry. They want to bring all of counseling and administrative functions together. So what this will work out, how that'll work out is moving some of the special education programs around current classrooms and then moving them into the existing counseling space. With that, we are proposing a new gymnasium, a full-size gymnasium. And we talk about the gym, we are looking at a space that is conference regulation size. And really what that means is we're trying to find a space that we can get a competition-sized basketball court along with all of the support space for bleachers, visitors, and home side. So we are looking at a rather large new gymnasium with the locker rooms and restroom facilities. With that will allow us to go to the existing gym and take over the existing locker room spaces, so the existing gym will become an aux gym. We're going to gain a lot of square footage, a lot of valuable real estate using those locker rooms for a fitness center. Currently, the fitness center is located in 2 classrooms. We're going to move that out into the gym locker rooms, and we'll regain 2 new classrooms, 2 additional classrooms in the building. With that, we'll have another side to the locker room that'll give us great space for small group instruction, classroom space, itinerant offices, sorely needed spaces in this building. So we're going to grab some great real estate in the existing locker rooms. We're also looking at technology and critical infrastructure updates. At North Farmington, again, we're looking at reimagined cafeteria space through furnishings. And again, the possibility of using that room all day long with flexible furniture is the goal. We're refracting the existing all-auxiliary gym at that building. And we have technology upgrades and critical infrastructure upgrades. And then at Visions Unlimited, that building is in great shape. We do have some concern over classroom acoustics, so we're going to go in and take care of all the classroom spaces with their acoustical needs. We do have playground upgrades at this building, technology and critical infrastructure on the list.
Thanks, Bill, and thanks, Gail. I noticed the board members, you do have the enlarged floor plans for reference. Obviously, we don't put those up for public display, but as Bill was mentioning and as Gail's mentioning, you see this is truly an academic-focused bond. And so if you take a look, you have 17 academic projects or 17 academic buildings. So the question is, okay, well, what's happening at the central office? Well, previous bond, we took care of a lot of that information. Same thing with the 10-mile road, the facility we're now, and same thing with transportation and facilities. So it's really academic focused. And as I mentioned, it's 85%, roughly $144.5 million is going to the academic improvements. The $26.5 million, Trustee Henrik, you asked a great question about a month and a half ago. It is very selective critical. So again, not redoing something that was done in the last two bonds if it doesn't need to be done. So again, as the projects get approved, we'll be coming back to the board at the design development phase, ultimately at the bid phase, should the bond be successful going forward. So very similar to the last two bond proposals you had, we worked with PFM and with Jennifer Kaminsky and her team. What you see in purple in 25-26 is your current tax rate of 3.2 mils. Again, people say, what if I vote no? Great, the millage rate drops to about 2.25 and the district doesn't receive $171 million in capital improvements. As Gail mentioned, this is a phased approach. So when we take a look at a 10, 15-year capital plan, in theory, because of the strong taxable values in Farmington district, in about 2035, you can actually start considering the secondary phase or the secondary millage rate to help extend that purple into the future to help address that phase 2 and phase 3. That is really part of that long-term plan. So what you see circled on the left-hand side, we don't get all the money at one time. The district does not receive a check for $171 million. It gets sold in a series of bonds. The first series would be, if approved in November, would be in the spring of 2027 of roughly $44 million. And if you take a look at the bond term, the district's been very good about keeping the interest rate as low as possible. So the district has an option for a 20-year bond, 25 or 30-year bond, and the district historically has always asked for a 20-year bond. So again, saving the taxpayers long-term interest rates. Again, you kind of see the $44 million kind of gets issued in those time periods of 2027, 2030, 2033, and 2036. On the far right side, what you see is increase, decrease in debt levy. So 3.2 is the current millage rate. It's been that way for many years. You're actually one of the lowest in Oakland County. But on the far right, you see that it is a 0.0% mill increase from the previous tax year. So when someone says it's an increase in the millage rate, that's just not true from that perspective. So again, this is kind of broken down by budget. So $79.5 million at the elementary, early childhood, and STEAM. So roughly $7.5 to $9 million per building in that range, if you will. When you get up to the middle school level, including the STEAM, there are about $8 to $10 million worth of projects. High school level is about $55 million, so that's how you come up to $91 million. And there's roughly $15 million between FCS, vision, and early childhood. So that kind of rounds out the $171 million from that perspective. So again, along with those sheets, as you can imagine, there's the detailed program sheets that we track to make sure the scope is in alignment with what we've heard from the community surveys, what we've heard from the ambassador listening sessions, what we've heard from board members and community members from that perspective. So kind of next steps. So again, June 16th, Miller Canfield will be here with the draft ballot resolution. I believe Ms. Kaminsky will be presenting that with Miller Canfield. Taking
He's
a look.
here today, so.
I'm sorry?
He's here today.
Oh. Oh, hey, Alan, hey, good to see you. Sorry about that. Sorry, Alan, good to see you. So again, reviewing the draft, obviously June 16th, resolution will be placed on November ballot, and that's really when the ballot information campaigning begins. That's coming up with the brochures, the signage, the placards, the detailed sheets that Gail and TMP and the team have put together to really help communicate the why from that perspective. So at the end of the day, I'll turn it back over to President Williams, the board, and Dr. Coffin for any questions for the TMP team or ourselves.
Mrs. Smith, thank you for doing what you do. All of you, thank you.
Team effort.
For
truly,
bringing
truly
this
team effort.
together. The only thing I'm concerned about, I know we need more parking at Forest Elementary. So when we go and we visit, it's hard for us to get, cars piled up in there. So didn't know if you were going to do anything to where it would expand where there's no parking. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, that's great notes. So again, we have infrastructure upgrades, which does include site. So again, logistically looking at it, I know that was done in the 2014-15 bond, but again, that's been 12 years. So again, taking a look at it, again, looking at the enrollment, looking at the utilization, and go from there, so.
Okay, I just didn't want a staff member to say they couldn't find anywhere to park and just went back home.
No, we don't want that.
I have some questions.
Trustee Heinrich?
Yeah, thank you for the work. You know, and I want to start out with saying the thing that I really appreciate is you did this big wish list or what we wanted to do, but everything was done intentionally with a budget in mind. And so this $171 million sounds like a lot of money, but with it being a $0 mill increase, and so not a tax increase, it's like what we can do with that money. So I want to highlight that and emphasize that and really thank you for being responsible as far as fiscally responsible. One of the things I have a question on is at Farmington High School, you're talking about building a new gym. Right now they have the main gym and they have an auxiliary gym. And so what's going to happen? Is the new gym going to go where the auxiliary gym is? Is that going to go away, or is that going to get bigger? Or I'm just trying to visualize it because the new addition we're putting on is down there by that also.
Correct.
That was my question. Where's the STEAM facility?
If I could just, for 1 second, just make sure the board is aware, Thomas, you probably are. So Farmington High's gym, we are unable to pull out the bleachers and have, so Farmington and North Farmington cannot play in that gym. There's not enough seating. And the bleachers not being pulled out all the way is a problem. So that's why we wanted to look at this as part of this project, because we need to have a gym where we can use the bleachers as intended and be able to fit in enough, to be able to have our games there.
Oh, I think that's great, but where's the old auxiliary gym? Is that part of the new gym?
Yes, the intent would be to take down the auxiliary gym.
Okay.
And to build a new gym, and we actually looked at that in relationship to the new multi-purpose room addition.
Okay.
So it's all coming together quite
So we
nicely
can do
in
that.
back.
Okay, all right, so that was my question. It was like, are we going to have two auxiliary gyms then? No, so we're going to have one big gym. Yeah, you don't have to convince me that, because.
No, I didn't know how much, if you haven't been in there, you don't.
Yeah, no, my kids went to Farmington High School, so I've been there. And then they played court sports, the girls' sports. The girls don't get as big of attendance as the boys, but which they should. Okay, so I'm really excited that we're redoing the media centers and putting in the STEAM space in the I Center. But my question is, where are the books going to be? So are we still going to have books?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the specific design will happen once this is successfully passed. But the amount of square footage that is in those spaces is perfectly fine for this new way of working and collaboratively learning. But books are not going away. They will live in the I Center with technology and the ability to do project-based learning.
Okay, because I'm a big fan of books, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking at, I remember when my kids were at Flanders, which is no longer, but I remember when they put a stage in because they said every school need equity and we didn't have a stage. So do all the elementary schools have a stage? And why not? Because back years ago when they put one in Flanders, they were all supposed to have one.
I don't know, but I know we took down a stage recently at Warner, didn't we? Yeah.
Warner.
Warner had a stage, and I think as part of the renovations, it was taken back out.
Okay, so we don't, that's.
Blue Creek doesn't have one. They use their cafeteria and a little space over on the side for, presentations.
Mannequins uses.
Yeah.
No, the gym does have a stage, though.
Yeah, usually the stages are incorporated either with the cafeteria or the gym. So I was just looking at the elementary buildings, and do we have those in all of the elementary buildings? And is that something that we should have? That was a question.
The interesting part, too, of completing your learning, all of your learning environments with flexible furnishings is that they can move. And you find that these, impromptu presentations and things that are done by students, they can happen in the classroom anywhere, so there's a trend away from these structured spaces that end up limiting you, and you find, we're doing band up on the stage because there's nowhere else to. So the ability to change the room up because the furnishings are so flexible, provides multiple opportunities for presentations and kind of performances that are typically not held in other spots.
Yeah, I was thinking performing arts. I mean, it's like it's put on plays in the middle school. Okay, so at Farmington High School, we're putting that addition on with a large group instructional space. And so is North Farmington going to have that same North large group instructional
So
space?
North already has that space.
They already have that space? Okay, so we don't have to do that, okay. And I was our auditoriums must be in good shape because none of this is usually that's one of the things that really needs updating. So we've done a good job taking care of our auditorium, so compliment to the district on that. Okay.
We've invested a lot in those.
In the auditoriums, okay,
And
so
there's
they don't
always
need,
more, but-
they don't need upgrades. Okay, thank you.
Trustee
Sorry,
Hall?
didn't want to steal your thunder.
No.
Trustee Hall?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so again, I really appreciate the presentation and the forward thinking of reusing our spaces. And I do like the part about we had to think out of our school instruction boundaries, as in if we were to have an event here, where could people go for the community? And I think I think by having these convertible spaces in area that we could have more programming here, and that we will be, since we're a premier district, we'll become more premier, I guess. And so we can host, the gym being redone, we have conferences here because there are, the newer school districts with the newer buildings that's in other districts that have like stadiums, that they had the high rises and everything. And for us to actually compete for that particular space, I mean, that's just going to draw revenue in our city, in our schools and everything, so it will pay for itself. So I'm very excited about just having that inter-use type of spaces and that we can actually have. And good job for thinking outside of the box and keeping up with the trends instead of, thinking it's still, 1950s. We just need a chalkboard and the seats, So.
That was the last time we took the chalkboards out. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I was going to ask about the books and about the STEM facility, and so that's not on these blueprints, right? That's a separate.
The current one is from the current bond.
Okay, but they're not. It's not reflected here. Will they connect
At Farmington High.
at Farmington High?
Yeah, so that.
Okay. And then I think in initial plans, you guys had mentioned a lot of natural lighting and outdoor spaces. I didn't hear you talk today much about that. Have you? Is it all? Granted, I do appreciate the indoor and the eye centers, but I thought a couple sessions ago you talked about more natural light, opening things up, having indoor and outdoor collaboration.
Yeah,
Can you speak on that?
That vision hasn't gone away, but in phase one, being responsible to the zero increase opportunity, that's going to be phase two, phase three, but definitely it isn't going away because it is a very positive thing in learning environments.
And then I see on North that you have it looks down upon the gyms. So you're opening up the second floor. Is that how that? What does that mean? Am I reading it wrong? At North, it says second level open to main gym below, open to auction.
Yeah, that's
naturally the way it is now.
That's just naturally how the floor plan.
You're not
comes
opening
together.
anything.
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
They're not making a ballroom.
Gotcha. That's it.
Thank you all for the conversation and the questions. I had just a few myself. Remind me of the input that you've collected. I know it's been pretty extensive. I recall being part of it myself. I know you asked the ambassador groups. I know you've connected with parents. I know you've connected with staff. Was there student voice informing this as well?
Yes, Dr. Coffin shared a lot of.
Yeah, so in all the lunch and learns, yes, we captured around what they were looking for. And so that was all shared with TMP, and they pulled that together and then shared that throughout the Farmington Ambassador Network meetings with the parents.
I just had a thought, and I'm sure we're all going to have lots of random thoughts from now until, we start doing this and wishes. But to Trustee Jacinto's point about outdoor spaces, and I'm thinking mostly at the high school level. As I reimagine high school, I tend to feel like there's more opportunity to get our older kids outside more. I'm sure they'd like that, they'd appreciate it, and I don't really see that opportunity at either of the high schools. I think that we created a little bit of it at Farmington High School with that nice little, seated area, but I'm really interested in understanding how we might leverage space for young people to, be able to spend some time outside, maybe during lunches or covered areas. I know we still have a closed campus, and we don't really have a whole lot for them to do in those areas that's close by, but still, I think that I'm trying to create an environment where our kids want to go and stay as opposed to not go and leave. So that was just one point. Another one was around just parity. I'm really pleased that we're doing something about having similar types of makerspace, STEM space at all of our elementaries and junior high schools. That has been something that we've been talking about as a board for years, and I'm happy that there's a pathway to get closer to ensuring that all of our schools have access to that kind of thing. And then I've been a fan for years of redoing the cafeteria spaces and making sure that we're better leveraging the spaces that we do have in our buildings and not leaving them, vacant for hours of the day. So that makes me really happy, and I'm really excited. One more thing with respect to parity across our high schools, and I realize that Central is an alternative high school, but I am interested in making sure that they have similar types of access to things. And so if it isn't at the high school itself, I know we do some busing back and forth. With respect to the two high schools, I know everything's not going to be the same. We've got this nice new STEM facility that's going in at Farmington. We do have some really great CTE space at North Farmington and TV10. But I do want to make sure that as we're building out that we are intentionally making sure that both of our high schools are in tip-top condition and are a place where our students can be proud to go.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're talking about a 10-year plan, and you talk about phase one. Is this 171 million, is this the 10-year plan?
No, it's just, so this is just the phase one. So if you take a look, if you remember, the 10-year plus plan was roughly $395 million.
Okay.
So this is a large chunk of it, really focused on the academics. So roughly, as mentioned, about 85% is on the academic. There are some things that could kind of be considered potentially in that secondary, like you talk about the outdoor spaces. But that's why I think it's important, like those 10-year plans are living documents. The academic plans are living documents. How does technology change in the next 5, 10 years? How does pedagogy change in the next 5 or 10 years? So this is really respecting the 3.2 mils, 171 million, which is roughly $100 a foot. So I remember people like, oh my gosh, we have a $395 a foot price tag over the next 10 to 15 years. This is that first phase. And again, strongly focused on technology, instruction, and academic spaces for that.
So what's the time frame for phase one then?
Yeah, so actually, if passed in November, let me get to the dollars. As you can see, the district will receive roughly $44 million a year every 2 to 3 years to do those investments. And so really by 2034, If you take a look, 2035, that's when taxable values we assume are still going to be strong here in Farmington, that you could consider that second phase. And what that dollar amount is, we'd work with PFM is kind of that 2031, 2032 through Ms. Kaminsky's office to say, here's a consideration for that second phase and what that dollar amount is, and ultimately what could be included in that. So this is really that STEAM, eye-centered, the arts improvements. There are some selective critical infrastructural needs, roughly $26.5 million. But that we'll call this phase one of a facility master plan. So.
If I can, I think part of it is this is phase one of that roadmap. So we have, one of the things the board was very clear on is getting a comprehensive all-in plan. So that's the 10-plus years. Then the decision was made to look at what we could get for a zero mill increase, and that's the $171 million, which is going to span over 8 or 9 years.
Correct.
So, well, 26 to 31 is, what, 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, really by 2036, you'd have your last tranche of roughly $39 million, but kudos to the TMP team. They're going to start designing that a year or two ahead of that. So when you get that last tranche, you're really just doing construction. So really the intent is in that 8-year period, you've pretty much wrapped up that phase one of $171 million worth of work.
All right. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
presentation. We will
Appreciate
move
it.
now to the nutrition services.
Is it what? Sorry, is it ballot language? Yes. Okay, so we'll go to ballot.
We're not on G.
E.
Oh, I skipped.
That's okay.
I was looking at facilities management and thought that was a capital.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
no. So
Okay.
So I'd like to welcome Mr. Alex Zuma, attorney with Miller Canfield, here to provide a review for the board of the proposed 2026 ballot language resolution.
Good evening. Appreciate the continued opportunity to work with you guys as part of your finance and capital team. So what we do is we, at this stage, distill all those projects that they were talking with you about into some simple ballot language for the electors. We have prepared a resolution that you'll adopt hopefully at your next meeting, and it just goes on to talk about how you guys have planned for this, that you guys think that the projects are necessary, and it says that you're going to put it on the November 3rd, 2026 election. And then it tells you that we're going to go through Oakland County to do that, designates the superintendent to help with this process. And then the second page has just the fact that you're going to adopt and approve the proposal. It's going to be submitted to the clerk by August 11th. That's the statutory time frame to get it on the ballot in November. And then the last page is really the critical part, and this lays out the proposal for all the electors to see. And a lot of this is statutory. We start off giving the overall bond amount, $171 million, that we're going to issue general obligation unlimited tax. We say that the tax rate is 3.2%, 3.2 mils. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. It could be less, could be a little bit more. So we say estimated to be. We're going to issue these in one or more series, as they talked about, so it's authorized there. And then to give a little bit of understanding the community, we talk about some of the things that it's going to accomplish: create a modern learning environment, accommodate the expansion of the STEAM and the makerspace programs, and obviously for the health, safety, security of the students. And so these 3 bullet points come from the statute and from the projects that Plant Moran and TMP have put together. We talk about the remodeling, constructing the additions, that's the gymnasium, equipping, re-equipping, furnishing, refurnishing the school buildings, athletic fields, playgrounds, and other facilities. Playgrounds was a big piece. The second one is acquiring and installing the instructional technology, which is going to hit all the buildings and the other facilities. And then the site improvements that they talked about as well. And we try and keep these as generic and general as possible so that as time goes by, if you guys have something else that comes up that you're not contemplating now, as long as it fits in to these enumerated projects, then you're okay to do that. And then the language after the yes or no is statutory as well, except for that first sentence. That first sentence lets the community know that we're trying to keep it as a no mill increase from the current levy. And then we go on to say that each series is going to be no more than 20 years. You're going to do it in 4 series, so each of those series can be 20 years. And then it gives the estimated average and first year levy, 9.5. We get these figures from PFM, another part of your finance team. And then the simple average to retire all the bonds is 1.32 mils. And then the parenthetical at the bottom is for information purposes only for the voters. Just let them know that we're not going to spend it on teacher administrative salaries, repair, or maintenance costs, because those are statutorily not allowed.
Mr. Rosinto?
Yeah, the ballot language mentions athletic fields. What's an example of an improvement to an athletic field?
I don't know the specific project. We pulled that from all of the projects that they were talking about.
Because we just did a lot in our athletic fields.
So that might be the replacement of the artificial turf. It only lasts so long, but that would be way down the road. So varying things. Again, this is a 4-series bond, so it's over a 12-year period, and there may be things that require replacement at that time.
Okay.
Further questions? All right, seeing none, thank you for your
Yep,
presentation.
absolutely.
All right, let's move on to facilities management.
Yes, so I'd like to ask Mr. Luke Cadeau to come to the podium to share information on a custodial equipment purchase request.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about replacing some of our custodial equipment. A lot of our equipment is very old, it's aging. We're experiencing a lot of breakdowns. Some of them, believe it or not, are older than myself, and parts are getting very hard to find, and when we do find them, they're not the cheapest. Also, we want our equipment to be reliable, to keep our buildings clean and safe and healthy for the students. I'm coming to you, so back when we did the custodial RFP, ABM originally proposed part of their contract that they would give us 2 autonomous floor scrubbers. Well, looking into it, it's very new technology. There's a lot of training behind it. I know if you go to Menards, you can see the machine sometimes it's just running into the wall until someone goes over there. And it's just not productive for our needs as a district. So I spoke to ABM, and this is further in my presentation, and ABM is willing to give us what the cost of the autonomous floor scrubbers were to go towards purchasing equipment that our staff and our people can use. So we're looking at getting 5 small walk-behinds, 4 larger ones for like our middle schools, 3 ride-on scrubbers, 8 surface cleaners, and then some 10 carpet cleaners. Total cost would be around $208,000. We're looking at going with Tenet. It's a very reliable company. Parts are easy to get. The machines are easier to work on. ABM, who actually fixes our equipment currently, they use Tenet, so they stock their service trucks with Tenet supplies, so downtimes will be very minimal if something does break. So ABM's willing to contribute $120,000 towards the cost. So got pricing from a company through the consortium, and ABM's pricing came in lower than the consortium pricing. So that's why we're looking at going through ABM and writing their contract with Tenet. So with that, the district would need to pay around $88,000, which would come out of the 2020 bond equipment fund. Benefit to the district, it's more reliable equipment for the custodians, reduce repair costs and downtimes, consistency with ABM being able to repair them and maintain them, and just support the overall cleaning operation in the district. Also, I spoke with ABM, and Tenet's going to send someone out to train not just our staff, but also ABM staff together on the machines, how to maintain them. If this goes wrong, do this, and so everyone's on the same page, because that's the issue right now with some of our equipment, that it's just, you know, you get done at the end of the day and you don't have time to do the proper maintenance. So Tenet's going to actually come out and do some training, and no matter what, if we need to, we can pick up the phone and call them. Recommendation is the approval of new Tenet equipment to utilize ABM's contribution and to ride on their pricing with Tenet, replace the outdated equipment, and continue to provide clean, safe, maintainable buildings for our students and staff. Any questions?
Yes.
Hi, Luke. Will you need more staff for all this equipment?
No, so we're going to take all the, I should have put that in there. We're going to take all the old equipment that we're having to put a lot of money into. We're going to go through. If it can be saved as a backup, it will. If not, it'll be auctioned off. The new equipment will go into buildings. Like right now, Forest, Kenbrook, and FECC, they need something, like big time. And those buildings, they have a lot of foot traffic and everything, and it takes a lot for someone to mop the entire floor half the time when you can just run a scrubber. So
You're not going to have to hire any more
No,
FTEs?
no,
Okay.
no.
Yes.
So, Luke, you said you would auction off.
Yep.
What if you can't sell this stuff? What will happen?
Believe it or not, I don't know if you saw our last auction bidgery. I don't know, people must have money to spend. The littlest things people are buying, like everything auctions off. We had, up on the auction, we had lawnmowers that haven't started in 20 years. They went for $55. So everything, for some reason, when you put it to auction, people buy it. So, yeah. If it doesn't, then we would strip parts off of it to keep for machines that we have, and then the bodies of them pitch.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good.
So a lot of because we have the hybrid model,
Yep.
so a lot of the major cleaning is done after school
Yep.
by the ABM staff.
Yep.
So do we maintain the equipment, or does ABM maintain?
So right now, all we pay for is parts. We don't pay for labor. ABM pays for the labor. So say the floor scrubber needs a new squeegee, we pay for the squeegee itself, but then the hours for the technician to do it is all covered by ABM.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's a shared cost
Yep.
there, too.
Yep.
So that was one of the things when we were considering going with the all
Right.
out, then they were going to supply all the equipment.
Yep,
But
correct.
now we're having to buy the equipment
Yep.
because we went with the hybrid model.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation. We'll move on to nutrition services.
Yes, so I'd like to welcome Ms. Ann Stevens, our Director of Nutrition Services, to share information on a middle school equipment purchase request.
Hi, good evening, Board. I'm here tonight to request the approval to purchase some kitchen equipment for the middle school buildings, kitchens. There's a detailed list in your board packet of requested equipment. The updated equipment will significantly improve kitchen workflow and enhance our ability to efficiently prepare meals and especially streamline cleanup. 4 bids were solicited, with pricing ranging from $310,000, $372,000 to $363,840. And you see the summary of equipment by vendor. The recommended vendor is Stafford Smith, who provided the lowest bid price, but it's also a company who has a proven track record of providing quality products and services to Farmington Public Schools. Pricing of this equipment was obtained through a consortium bid through Oakland Schools utilizing the Sourcewell contract. If approved, the equipment will be delivered and installed this summer of 2026. The purchase will be fully funded through the food service account. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to take any questions.
I only have one question. I noticed that there were more items being purchased for STEAM, and I wondered whether that was in an effort to make them sort of equal with the other schools, or is there something different going on with STEAM?
STEAM's kitchen is a little misarranged. We have some cooking equipment across the kitchen, and then other cooking equipment is on one wall. So we're going to put all of the cooking equipment on one wall. That kitchen also serves a lot of students, so that one is going to have a larger dish machine. So we had to move some equipment over, relocate a hand sink, and then we also have some really old work tables in there. And so we're going to have new work tables down the center of the kitchen, but also another workstation, because they really bump into one another. That's a pretty small kitchen for the volume of meals they serve.
Thank you. All right, we can move on to V.A. Bylaws and resolution. Get to that.
Yeah, I've got this.
Okay.
Okay, it's, the information is on page 307 in your board packet. But basically, first thing is, number one is consideration of a new resolution. The new resolution is that Oakland County School Board Association opposes tying any school funding to waiving the attorney-client privilege. This came about when our board voted to accept the 31 AA funds and waive our attorney-client privilege. So they're asking to pass a resolution opposing that, so any future funding won't have any, so that won't set a precedence for any future funding. So I don't know if the resolution will resonate with our legislatures, but at least we're using our voice. And then the second one, there's two amendments. The first amendment is for allowing a trustee to be appointed from Oakland Schools, because the ISD, it says the intermediate school district pays annual membership dues directly to the association and is therefore entitled to appoint one trustee to a 3-year term to the board of directors. If the ISD chooses not to exercise their right to appoint a director, the board of directors shall be notified in writing within 30 days of a board election so that the seat can be filled by election. Right now, the ISD doesn't have somebody on the board, but for some reason they want to put this amendment in there. And then the second amendment is a language about committee chairs. Each standing committee and ad hoc committee shall elect a chairperson annually for the appointed representatives. It says in the event that the elected committee chair is not a member of the board of directors, the association board shall appoint one of its directors to serve as vice chair of the committee. The thing that comes to mind is the Government Relations Committee, like Trustee Rosento is our representative and he's not on the board of directors. So if for some reason he was elected chair of that committee, he wouldn't be on the board of directors, and so they're asking that the board of directors have a vice chair on it, just to report back to the board of directors. So that was the second thing. So it's a discussion item right now, and then we'll be voting whether to accept or not accept, and we can vote to accept the new resolution and changes all at once, or we can vote on each individual item if the board members feel like there would be a different vote on each individual items. So we can discuss that now and then next meeting, we can discuss and vote on it.
Any comments, concerns? All right, well, this matter will come up for a vote at our next board meeting. The next item is the 26-27 draft board meeting schedule. It should be in front of you. I think a copy was made for you, a hard copy, so that everybody has it. In addition to, it's in the board packet as well, sure. Yes, it is on page, I show it as 336.
Colleen actually printed them out. Thank you, Colleen.
Any thoughts, comments, or reactions to this? Do notice that there's only one meeting in November, which I think is fine. And same for March, due to break.
So are we going to vote on the January choices?
We should.
I mean,
And so this will come up as a vote for our organizational meeting generally. Our next meeting is our organizational meeting where we kind of review things like this. But it's open for discussion. Now, I personally like the January 12th meeting, but you guys will voice your opinions as well. I just think that January 5th is a little early and people may still be out.
yeah, I just wondered what the reasoning was. I mean, are we usually the first and third Tuesday, and that would be an exception, the second and fourth?
We're usually every other Tuesday. We pick a date to start, and this year it is September 1st, and then we go every other Tuesday, except where we run into a break for school or something like that.
So it looks like most of them are the first and the third. And so
They are.
January would be the second and fourth.
Well, and except for November, right, and except for March.
I just wanted to give, there are two options there. And sometimes, as President Weems said, coming off of break, sometimes it's to get ready for the board meeting.
Right, and so what would happen is if we met on the 5th and 19th of January, we would kind of be skipping 3 weeks until our next meeting in February. So any further comments or thoughts? If not, then you can think about it a little bit more before the 16th. All right, we are moving now to our second opportunity for public comment, and I don't see anyone in the audience who is likely to make public comment. So we will call for public comment one more time, and then we'll close it. There are no action items. We do need a motion for the consent agenda. Don't all jump at one time. Mrs. Heinrich.
I move that we approve the consent agenda. A, approval of minutes. Number 1, May 19th, 2026 regular meeting. Number 2, June 1st, 2026 Finance Facilities Committee meeting.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Heinrich, supported by trustee Rosento to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Colleen, was the Finance Facilities Committee meeting added to the board packet? So it's in there. Okay, all right.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Are there any reports from board representatives?
Tomorrow's a deadline to register for the June Oakland County School Board Association Awards Banquet. So if you haven't registered and you want to go, let me know tonight or tomorrow before 4 o'clock, because they're very strict on following deadlines.
All right. Yes.
June 18th, VI.A will have their meeting. I didn't realize that I was the appointee, so I will be attending that meeting and will be reporting back to the board on, that will be at 6 o'clock here in this building. So, good to know. That's pretty much it.
For the public's awareness, we've got graduation for Central on Thursday. We've got graduations for Farmington and North Farmington. Actually, the order is North Farmington and Farmington on Sunday. And then we have Visions on the 10th, and I can't remember what day that is. I think it's a Wednesday. Yeah, at 10 o'clock. So happy days. All right, if there's nothing further, this meeting is adjourned.